Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Crystal, the Crystalline Priestess, intuitive evolutionary astrologer and psychic tarot reader. And today we have Astro Tea Weekly, where essentially we're just getting into the energy of what's going on in the stars and how that is going to be affecting us throughout our week ahead. And this week we do have a solar eclipse in Libra, so it's another powerful week. We are in the middle of eclipse season, like I've said many times. So without further ado, let's check out the energy for our week ahead. And I should probably mention as well, let me check the dates. This is for between Monday the 30th of September 2024 and Sunday the 6th of October 2024. So my loves, let's get into the energy of the week. Okay, my love, so we actually do have another screen recording. We're going to attempt this once again. I'm going to try to make this not too long because we are going to have an eclipse reading that is going up this week, so we will have an extra video. Huzzah! A bit of fun there. This is a beautiful week. I think we're in Libra season. This is a time of really finding peace and balance and harmony in the relationships that you have around you, and it's a really time of loving on the people around you. So we are starting off on Monday with Sun in Libra, 7 degrees. We have Mercury, who is now at 6 degrees of Libra, which means he's moved pretty damn quickly from that opposition that we had with Neptune during the middle of the week towards the end of the week last week. It's really moved quickly up to we're already dealing with a Sun Mercury Cazimi once again. And when I say dealing, that kind of sounds negative, but it's never negative when it's a Sun Mercury Cazimi. This is in Libra though, where the Sun is at fall. So we do have to remember that Lilith is right there as well. This little dancing little Lilith over here. Let's bring this up bigger. And we have the moon, who is in Virgo. So there is a little bit of anxiety, I think, that we're all sort of collectively feeling. Like I spoke to, we are in the middle of eclipse season. We have an eclipse that's building. By Thursday, we are in the eclipse portal once again, and we're dealing with a sort of closing out of essentially the last 6 months. But, you know, eclipses are always, in my opinion, they always have correlations back to previous points when the nodes were in those signs. So I think that eclipses kind of have a continuing story, like a love story, you know, that continues on for many cycles. So I'll get into that in the actual eclipse reading, but for now we're just going to touch on what I'm feeling for this eclipse or for this week in general. But as I was saying, we have that moon that is in Virgo, and we're still just dealing, it's going to move into an opposition with Saturn on Monday. By Tuesday, you know, we've had that opposition, and we're starting to now feel sandwiched in between once again Neptune and Saturn in that opposition, and so we're moving into that opposition with Neptune. So we're not out of the Neptune sort of fog weirdness yet. We are still trying to, I think, emotionally digest maybe some of the weird news that's come in for us over the past few weeks, some of the weird shifts in perception, shifts in reality, just like wake-up calls. I think that for a lot of us it's been having to deal with mental health and physical health, and maybe people we love dealing with mental and physical health issues. As the moon moves towards the end of Virgo, it does move towards a grand trine, which is very nice. And we do have actually this whole week, we have a really lovely grand trine that is actually building. I'll bring it up on Friday. Actually, no, I'll bring it up on Saturday because that's when it's quite strong. No, let's bring up Sunday. Let's bring up Sunday. Sorry, guys. We're going to drag Sunday over here and bring this bad boy up to have a look. So we do have a grand trine this week, actually, with Mars, Saturn retrograde, Venus, and the moon. And now it's obviously not exact because we have Mars at 17 degrees of Cancer, where, you know, that's actually where he's going to go direct after his retrograde that is coming up in December. So we're starting to deal with a little bit of the weird Mars stuff. We've already been dealing with weird Mars stuff because Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer, just as a general, you know, token. So as soon as Mars hits Cancer, we start to have to deal with the emotions and the weird watery shit, and we start to have to deal with the personal life. We're already in Virgo season trying to clean up our habits and our structures and our routines. Now that we're in this sort of square this week between Mars in Cancer, and also, you know, we have Mercury who's in Libra, and the Sun who's going to be building into that square as well. But at the same time, as he's in this beautiful grand trine between the moon and Venus and Saturn, there's this beautiful energy that's coming through, but at the same time it's a little bit let's say volatile. When we're dealing with Mars, we are sort of dealing with a general sort of sense of volatility, and especially when he's in a square and when it's with Mercury, this could be harsh communication. This could be maybe even difficult to process emotional sort of news that could be coming in this week, or just connection, conversations. Maybe even, this could even be the energy of, you know, getting into a really, really good book and just getting really emotional about it, you know, those sorts of energies where we read something, or we get really invested in a TV show, or we just get really into something that has this sort of emotional toll on us. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm feeling like it's a really good thing, because it's also a part of this grand trine, which I feel is about, with Scorpio, Venus being in her detriment, Mars being in his detriment, but they're making this really lovely trine, this really beautiful connection with each other. They're sort of flowing together and saying, okay, well, if we're in the shit, we might as well be in the shit together. So this is definitely a week about finding balance, because we do have a solar eclipse that is in Libra. So in my opinion, balance is never actually 100%, you know, something that can happen. I feel like balance is always a seesaw. It's always a teeter-totter. It's always going back and forth, but it's about mastering that sort of dance. And when I say mastering doesn't mean always getting it right. It means just doing the dance all the time. And, you know, as soon as you find that you're out of balance in one area, it's starting to do the work to find that little bit of balance. And sometimes you have to accept that you actually do have to be a little bit out of balance in one area in order to bring balance to another. So it's about being cognizantly aware of that. And that's what I think that Mars square to Mercury this week is going to be, is that cognizant awareness of how we need to be dealing with things in a more emotionally intelligent way. And emotional intelligence, I feel, is built through actually being aware of our emotions. And that's what a Mars in Cancer is doing. And so we need to understand that Mars is going retrograde very soon. And a Mars retrograde is a yucky experience. We are all going to remember Mars retrograde in Gemini that was from 2022 into 2023. That was a weird Christmas. That was a weird end to the year. It was a strange time. We could definitely all feel that weird Mars energy. And so now we have Mars, who is not retrograde yet, but we have him at his degree already this week, where he's going to come direct later next year. So that is kind of a little bit auspicious in my opinion. We're getting prepped, I think, at this point, deepening our values, deepening our emotional awareness, and also deepening our love for the people around us, and also deepening our loves for ourselves, because I feel like this self-love thing is feeling really, really important. Because we have Lilith this week, who is going to be for this, let's get the eclipse chart up actually. For this new moon eclipse, we are going to have Lilith, who is right there in the mix. So we've got Mercury, we've got Lilith, we have got the Sun, and we've got the Moon, all at 10 degrees out of Libra. And obviously that's in an opposition to the North Node. It's not exact, but the South Node is still there. So this is bringing up things from the past. It's bringing up a massive moment, in my opinion, for planting new seeds about who we have become from that past version of ourselves. And I feel like that Venus in Scorpio, who's actually, you know, the trine is building as we have this eclipse. So we've got Saturn, who's at 14 degrees, and yeah, he's retrograde. But we have Mars, who's at 15 degrees, and then we have Venus here, who is at this 11. And you can see the grand trine building. And so it's feeling to me like this opportunity in the background, this subtle shift in our energetic awareness, where we're realizing things have to change, and I can make that happen if I'm actually emotionally dealing with my shit. And when I'm saying this, I kind of mean I can find a sense of balance through actually being emotionally on top of what is going on in my internal world, what is going on in the deepest parts of myself. You know, Venus in Scorpio, she can get really, really deep into the nitty-gritty, and she can really help to purify, because Venus is about beauty, and it's about radiance, and it's about love, and it's about abundance and peace and all these beautiful things in our lives. And when she's in Scorpio, it can be overwhelming because Scorpio is where the darkness is. It's where we have all this uncomfortable energy and these uncomfortable feelings. So Venus being here, but being in this grand trine to me, and that trine to Saturn, it feels as though it's this growing up that we're having to face, and this growing up, and it feels like it's coming not with difficulty, but almost with a little bit of ease, because we're deciding that our emotions have an importance, they have a weight to them. And that's this closing out of Pluto being in Capricorn. We're realizing that it's not it's counterproductive in the end to only build and to only focus on achievement and structure and to getting to the top without focusing on building safety within our hearts and within our home and in our family unit. There has to be that balance between Cancer and Capricorn. And you have to remember that when Mars is going retrograde, he's going to retrograde and oppose Pluto for a long time. So we're really still dealing with these closing out chapters and portals of this Pluto Capricorn since 2008, since Pluto has come to this point in our charts where he's had to say, we've got to deal with this. We've got to start to deal with this Capricorn area, and wherever that's going to land for you, is going to be important. You've been doing this dance since 2008. And so to me, all of these eclipses that are closing out at the moment, these are our last eclipses that we're having with Pluto and Capricorn. These are the last moments that we have to close out the ending of this cycle, the ending of this chapter, the ending of this achievement obsessed, goal orientated version who, and it's going to look different for everyone. For some of us, we've wanted to achieve this family image, it hasn't maybe been in the career, it's been in how we wanted our family to look. I'm seeing the Kardashians. I love the Kardashians. I love watching that show. I ain't hating on it. But, with this Lilith and with the sun and with the moon and the south node and Mercury, it's almost like humanity needing to be aware that we've built up all these ideals on all these people who have been painted as an image of something that isn't real. I'm not going to bring it up because I'll probably get flagged and no one's, I don't know, I don't have a huge channel anyway at all, but the Diddy stuff, all the stuff we're seeing with Hollywood and what we're seeing with what's really been going on behind the scenes, that is some insane stuff. If you really want to get deep on that, actually, I've been tuning into Jaguar Wright, and I think it's like Saviors of the Streets or something like that. I'm sure that's not the exact name, but either way, Jaguar Wright, I've been getting into her and really actually listening to what has been going on behind closed doors in those areas, and it is really dark, horribly toxic stuff. And so I actually feel as though this new moon is almost this like collective, like I'm feeling like it's a breath out. Like, can we start to value now with Venus being in Scorpio and with this grand trine, Saturn in Pisces, can we start to value what's spiritually in alignment? Can we start to purge with Venus and Scorpio? And with the trine to Mars, can we start to purge this idea of what we think success looks like with that Pluto and Capricorn? It's about understanding that what we've been seeing on the world stage has been, we can't forget Neptune being at 28 degrees of Pisces and being retrograde. And also the moon being in an opposition with that this week after we've already had so many oppositions building into this eclipse. We are needing to understand that we've been fed lies big time on the world biggest scale that you can imagine, and so we're needing to find our own sense of value now. We're needing to decide and realize that life's actually been really, really beautiful this whole time, and what we actually have is beautiful. I'm looking at it now. When I was a kid, I grew up, I was probably, how old was I? I was like 10, 11 in 2005, I think, 2006, and that was when, all these big superstars were becoming massive, and I just looked at it and I was like, I want to be like them so badly. And it's so crazy now watching these listening to these interviews and hearing the truth and going, whoa, that is evil, that ain't what I want, that ain't ever what none of us wanted. You know what I mean? Like, that is crazy. So this is us coming to this huge realization point in humanity and a moment in life to see that what we've been built, these ideas, these structures that we've been taught have been what we need to value are not they're not what we thought they were, and we need to go deeper. We need to go deeper within ourselves and within our own personal lives and within our own hearts and our own souls. You know, Pisces, Saturn in Pisces is about building a spiritual integrity and a spiritual connection, a deep spiritual connection with yourself. We have masculine and feminine when we have Mars and Venus. We have to understand that we have masculine and feminine, each one of us, all of us, and we have to find, you know, this spiritual understanding and this balance between our emotions being a guide and being a lesson and being worthwhile listening to and being worthwhile expressing and feeling, as well as understanding where that needs to not go too far, not go too deep, and not get in the way of functioning as a healthy adult, you know, as functioning as a healthy person. This is our moments to sort of find this balance and to find this understanding. The Strength card has been sitting here this whole time at the bottom of the deck. It's about finding a strength, I think, with this opposition to the North Node over this solar eclipse this week. And just with having the Sun that's been in this opposition with the North Node, you know, we start off the week with the Sun having just moved off that opposition, and so it's just had that connection with the South Node, and we still have Mercury with the South Node. So we're needing to really see where we are stronger than we think. We are so much stronger than we think. We still have Jupiter and Chiron in this really lovely sextile at the start of the week. So we also have a trine building between the Sun and Jupiter and all these things that's going to be coming next week. But we are sort of seeing where there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is strength, there is positivity, there is optimism. It's not the end of the world, you know. There's this almost a little bit of a doomsday feeling that I think humanity is in a little bit. Oh my god, and as I said that, we have the Destroyer archetype going out. Oh, I just literally lifted up the deck and picked up the first card, and we have the Destroyer. It says, light attributes, releasing what is potentially destructive and preparing for new life. The shadow attributes is intoxication with destructive power and destroying others' dreams or potential. And that's the thing. We need to understand Mars in Cancer, and with the opposition that's building with Pluto, and the fact that he's going to go retrograde there, and the fact that he's in this lovely grand trine. This is a really nice aspect that we have this week with Mars. We have to remember that we're not going to have too much of a good thing going with Mars for much longer. So the thing is too, we have Jupiter, who's going retrograde as well. He's moving unbelievably slowly. He's moving literally like a minute this whole week, so we're not seeing him leave 21 degrees this whole week. So we have to understand that we need to have this healthy relationship with destruction at the moment, and that's what Pluto on the cusp of 29 degrees, he's done this dance between Aquarius and Capricorn so many times now. It's been more times than usual. Usually we have Pluto ingress maybe twice. I think this has been 3 times. So this is not an usual transit. This is more destructive than usual. So we've been facing as a collective more craziness than usual. At the same time, we've spoken about it, but we have all of these outer planets at these critical degrees. And so we have all of them at the same time as we have all of them as well at the same time retrograde. So we have Uranus, who's reached 26 degrees this week, and then we have to remember that that means he comes into a conjunction with the fixed star of Algol. I don't have him on these charts, but the fixed star of Algol is the demon star. He's the star of alcohol. He's rough energy, he's powerful, very, very strong energy, but he's very much the destroyer archetype. So we are dealing now with a Uranus who is coming back into Algol territory, and we are dealing with just a lot of I think it's actually quite good transits, to be honest. We do have, you know, Mars, who is going to come into that square with the Sun, which is quite intense, that's building, but that's more towards next week. So I do feel like this is actually a good opportunity this week to find, I think, balance with some of the destructive energy that we're in. I think destruction obviously doesn't have to look like a bad thing. Sometimes we have to demo a building in order to build a much nicer building. So it's understanding, and that's what Libra is all about. You know, it is about building balance in as many areas as we can, but it is that balance between the outer world and the inner world, in my opinion, because we have you know, a personal sign, Aries, in an opposition with a social sign, Libra. So we do have the moon, who is moving through Virgo this week. He's moving on Tuesday. He's going to move through Virgo. He's still going to be making that opposition with Saturn. He's going to be slowly moving into that opposition with Neptune, and then on Wednesday he makes that opposition with Neptune and then moves into Libra, and then we really start to feel that eclipse starting to hit. So from Wednesday into Thursday we have boom boom, we're feeling the eclipse again. We got another set of, this one I don't think is going to feel as potent. It's a new moon, as well as it's a sun south node. They're in the same sign, they're all really close. This is feeling like a more of an internal growth moon, and a moon that's teaching us a lot of lessons about ourselves and about our past and about where we've really come from and how that's made us who we are, and how it's in some ways maybe we need to pivot our values and pivot what we've been looking at and putting on a pedestal, and for some of us we maybe need to pick up some of our past values and things like that. And then by the end of the week we have the moon who moves into Scorpio Friday. We have the moon moving out of Libra. It's not going to be too late at night for us Aussies, so really it's more so on Saturday that we're going to notice the moon moving out of that eclipse sort of portal energy and moving into Scorpio, where the moon doesn't like to be, and we are also with Venus, who doesn't like to be there either, so that's a bit intense, but we are having that lovely grand trine, so it does feel beneficial. At the same time, we're just dealing with some hard emotions at the moment, and that's okay. So then by the end of the week we still have the moon, and the moon makes that lovely conjunction with Venus, joins in that grand trine, and it feels like we're sort of cooking with gas a little bit, but we do have that square who is now building a little bit more intensely between, well, we do have that exact square with Mercury, but we do have that square that's building more intensely with the Sun and Mars. So we are going to start to feel that there is a bit of pressure, and we're already feeling, and we've been feeling like we're in the pressure cooker for a while, but it's feeling a little bit lighter this week, and it just feels like it might be getting a little bit more intense next week as we build stronger into that square. But it's just about taking each day as it comes at the moment and dealing with our wounds with as much lightheartedness as possible with that trine over to Chiron that we're going to have all week. So that's actually really nice. I think that that's really healing at the same time as having some of these lovely aspects. So I also wanted to read to you guys the channeled message that I just wrote down for this week's Astro Tea vibe. It's way longer than I usually do, so that was interesting. It just poured out, so I'm going to read this to you, and then I think we're going to end up finish up this reading. I haven't really felt called to pull many cards, so it is what it is. Now, the theme of the week, I put the peace we couldn't find before. So I feel as though this is kind of this energy, like I've spoken to, we are finding a level of peace and balance and harmony, because it is Libra season, and this Mars is really going to be pushing us, especially mentally. It's going to be pushing us to have a bit of like a mental integrity and a mental strength and understanding about how important it is to be doing, I think, the physical work that gets us mental clarity. And when I say the physical work, I mean doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves physically, like making sure our nutrition's on point, making sure that we're feeling good in our physical bodies, making sure that we're feeling healthy. Emotional stability is going to help give so much mental clarity. I feel like mental clarity and emotional instability mental clarity and emotional stability go hand in hand. Anyway, this is a week of falling back in love with the people who have always loved you. The people who have been there from the start. Not the ones who are coming back now because they're interested in what you're doing, but the real ones. So not the people, I'm not talking, this is about valuing the people who have always valued us. Understanding that our values, it's like, I'm looking at it like this Hollywood stuff. It's kind of like, the things that those people did for money and for fame and for recognition, instead of valuing true integrity and true relationships, true balance, true friendships, true art, instead they valued money, and they made it really dark, and it got really disgusting, and it's all really hectic. So it's almost like, this is our time to realize that the people who have always been there for us have been there for us for a reason. And it's not about, needing to bring this, and it's all Libra, so it's not about having to have this big group of people around us, or this image of someone who has all these people around us. It's about with Chiron being in Aries and the North Node, it's about understanding where our identity is actually can be built through the people who are closest to us, you know, understanding that they hold reflections in us. We hold reflections in them. That the people who have always stood by you have stood by you for a reason, and you've stood by them for a reason. And there's something inside of both of you. And so it's looking into that. Mars is in Cancer. It's looking into the world, inner world that you have. Jupiter in Gemini, your environment. Chiron in Aries. It's about looking about all the people and all the things that you already have around you. You know, and not looking to seek. Jupiter in Gemini is not about going out and exploring the whole world and going, I have friends everywhere. It's about finding the value in what you have close to you. There is still beauty all around us, reflecting in the eyes of the people who know and love us best. Love letters to God. This feels like a love letter this week that we are finding that we could write, I think, to God, and that in a way, I feel like writing love letters to yourself is that recognition of the God within you. And I feel as though when I said that, love letters to God, it was really making me think of that line in the song where it said, you came out perfect, never meant to be torn in silence. Never been proud of the violence. So it's kind of like, you know, it's time to understand that you have always sort of been perfect, you know, and just because you might not have reached a certain level of recognition, or even if you have reached a certain level of recognition, that is not what defines you. It's more so the value that you have around you, the connections, the people, the community, the friendships, the lovers, the children, you know. It's about understanding the beauty that you have already in your life, and understanding how, even since 2008, how has that changed? How has that blossomed? And who's still here, you know? Potency. What does the goddess look like? That's the thing as well. What does it look like? Libra energy, Venus in Scorpio. What does the goddess look like? I feel like this solar eclipse is asking us, with Lilith being there, what does the goddess look like? You know, is it dark? There's dark, nothing wrong with dark feminine, you know. I'm not against Lilith. I don't think Lilith is a bad thing. But we have to look at this astrologically and understand that some of us might have been glorifying images that are dark images or dark things, and maybe we didn't know that, you know. And once again, I'm being brought to the Kardashians. Like, you know, I love watching their show and I love their stuff, and they've got me back into like valuing beauty and things like that. But there's a good chance that they're a part of that stuff too. And, you know, if I'm perfectly honest, I'm looking at that going, ew. You know, Kanye West is one of the only real ones out there, and he could not handle being a part of that family. So what does that say? Just, this is where we're needing to understand that and I'm saying this as someone who's actually into the Kardashians. I'm like, I can look at that and still go, I'm still going to watch the show. I'm still going to get what I enjoy out of it, which is I want a big family myself. And I want a beautiful, lovely home. And I want, you know, to dress up nice and have things like that. But I don't want that shit. So it's about understanding what the true value is. Yes, you can be inspired by things, but no, you don't have to take that on and decide that that's your whole identity. What does it look like to honor your soul and spirit? And that's something you need to ask yourself. What does it look like to honor your own soul and your own spirit? You know, maybe it's taking inspiration from the way somebody looks or a celebrity dresses or something like that. Or even, you know, it's about taking inspiration. It's not about making that your entire identity. You are you, and your uniqueness is absolutely, you are the snowflake, you know? And that's the thing with Libra and the sun being fall in Libra. Libra can get caught up with wanting to look like everyone else. Libra changes its mind. It's a chameleon. It can be all these different things. And I have a lot of Libra in my South Node energy. I'm a Libra rising. I can do that a lot. I can become someone, when I was with my first boyfriend, all of a sudden I became someone who loved Metallica because he loved Metallica, you know? And I was even going to do like a university course in childhood education because he was going to be a teacher. That's the level of Libra. Libra will literally just be like, oh, well, you're doing that, then I think I like that too, and I'll do that too because I like hanging out with you. So it's understanding ourselves. This is where we're really needing to understand that balance. And Lilith being there says to me that a lot of us have been valuing other people's appearance, the external appearances. This is about having to get really internal this week. What truly would it look like to be in harmony and balance in this life? What would it truly look like for you to be in harmony and balance in your own life? Is it going to look like a big, beautiful, fancy house? It might, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't need to go to a ditty party to achieve that. You know what I mean? It's understanding healthy ways, and that's what this, I think, grand trine with Mars and Venus and Saturn is. It's about understanding that there has to be a spiritual integrity to everything, and especially towards finances and with money. Venus and Scorpio, money. A lot of us are dealing with a lot of fear around money, and that's what Venus and Scorpio could be bringing up too. And so we're needing to deal with these emotional fears, and Uranus being on Algol this week, you know, it feels like we're really dealing again with these fears and these holy shit moments around oh my god, money. And maybe we have got spontaneous things coming up. Maybe we have got some spending things that we have to face that we didn't know were going to come up. Maybe there's just, you know, something we did know was going to come up, but it's just come up quickly, and maybe we didn't quite prepare ourselves for it. It's just having to understand what is balance and harmony actually going to look like in your life, and that's going to be bringing things up that are going to ask you to face that, so you know what it does look like. Decide. These are the moments of judgment. How are you going to balance the scales in your own life? We have learned and we have received so many gifts from our past. How are we going to use them? What would peace and balance and reciprocity in your own life actually be like? Think about it. What's it actually going to be like? What would that actually be like to have a balanced partnership, to have a balanced identity, you know, a feeling of being your own person at the same time as being someone who's there for your friends and your family and your partnerships, and having that balance, you know, your career. This is that, and I spoke to it in Astro Tea Weekly last week, but we have this cardinal square that's not here aspect wise, but it is here sign wise. Sun, Moon, South Node, Mercury, Lilith, all in Libra. Then we have Mars, who's in Cancer. Then we have North Node and Chiron, who's in Aries. And then we have Pluto, who is in Capricorn. So that is a grand cardinal cross sign-wise. So we're dealing with this huge identity pressure cooking moment that is asking us to find this moment of rebirth in all of it. And that moment of rebirth comes through emotional awareness and understanding yourself, and not putting your values on an external source that tells you what you need to look like. This is having to go really deep within, and that's what this grand trine with Venus this week is about. It's about understanding your personal self. Mars in Cancer is about having to deal with your personal shit, dealing with your emotions, dealing with your feelings, dealing with yourself. Sowing seeds of spiritual integrity. What are you at war with within yourself? You have to start to deal with the war within yourself, because that's what this is. Mars in Cancer is a war within the self, and it's building into this square with Mercury this week. So it's a war within your own thoughts, your own mind, your own spirit. Your connection with your inner self and God is absolutely everything. That is how you will free your mind. So freeing your mind, freeing your emotions, freeing yourself this week is going to come through creativity. It's going to come through actually building a little bit of imagination. That's what I'm getting. Because honestly, that's what childhood, the 5th house, Leo energy, childhood energy, it's about imagination. What does every kid have but a beautiful, powerful imagination? And what does every kid lose as they grow up? Imagination. So it's about using your imagination. That's what Saturn retrograde in Pisces is trying to get us to understand, that your imagination, we have a lunar eclipse with change. So we have to understand that we need to imagine and get creative about the changes that are coming in, and get excited about the changes. And even if these changes are difficult to understand and things feel weird and topsy-turvy, we have to understand that there is this potential that we have to build power and to build value and to build love in our lives, that we haven't been able to see before because we've been blinded by society, or we've been blinded by these external values. Maybe they came from our parents with this connection between Cancer and Capricorn. We have to understand that we are enough as we are. We are, you know, not people who have to, well, seasons of change coming out. We are not people who have to, I suppose, bow down to a societal pressure that says you need to have a certain achievement, or you need to look a certain way in order to be of value, or you need to have a certain prestige. We are realizing as a society that our creativity, and that our personal lives and our emotions and our communities and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and what we're doing in connection and partnerships, and what we do matters, you know, realizing that what we physically do in our individual selves, what we have to give on this planet matters. We have a gift to give, you know. I feel like every single person who's alive on this planet has something that they are meant to offer and to give this world. So you are enough with Lucky Bunny coming out. I overflow with the energy of creation, and I create my reality. So this is understanding that we are really in charge of how our reality is perceived to us. We are creating it through our perception. We are creating it through how we are showing up. Seasons of change. We are creating it through understanding that change is the only constant in this life, and that we are always going to be wanting more and to be doing more. And, you know, as soon as we get something that we want, we're going to want something better and bigger, and that's okay. Venus in Scorpio is desire. We have to become okay with the fact that we want things. Desire is okay. 5th house. It's fine. It's fun. You know, having desires is a fun thing. That is where art comes from. That is where everything that we've ever have, every single thing that we have in life has come from desire. Someone desired everything. Like this is a picture that my painting, this is a painting that my grandma painted. You know, so she desired to paint something beautiful and beachy and artistic, and now every single time I sit here and I edit these videos, I love looking at that painting in the background because it's my favorite colors: turquoise blue, the ocean. I'm an ocean gal. Where I'm living by the ocean right now in her house, clearing it out. So I'm feeling inspired by that, you know what I mean? So inspiration comes through imagination, and it comes through creativity and strength. You have to have the strength to allow that inner child vulnerability to come through, you know. Lion and the Lamb. It's about understanding strength is about compassion. Understanding that death and rebirth come symbiotic side by side, and that sometimes we need to actually initiate that cycle of death and rebirth in our own lives. So I'm going to get one more inner child card. We have superpower. I am a radiant soul, gifted beyond measure. Understand that you are one of a kind, one in a million. You're a radiant soul. Understand how much you deserve to shine. That's what this grand trine, I think, this week is throughout this. And I love the fact that it's happening throughout this eclipse, because we've got so many aspects. We've got such a major conjunction that is coming in, this huge Libra stellium that we have over this eclipse. So it is about understanding that your identity is valuable. Don't get lost and caught up in the idea that somebody else has it better, or that somebody else's life looks better on the outside. You don't know what's going on internally. We're all dealing with our internal shit at the moment. We're all dealing with our own anxiety and with our own major moments of change. We're all growing up and leveling up and all these things. Remember that Chiron and Jupiter are having a beautiful connection all week. So journaling things out, writing things out, talking things out with friends, just maybe even meditating, or, you know, just doing things with Chiron and Aries, maybe even doing actions that feel meditative, you know, doing sports. Like I said to you guys, I haven't actually swum in the past week and maybe a bit, so it's feeling like ages for me, but swimming feels like meditation for me at this point. So doing something that feels meditative, yoga, whatever that is, boxing might feel meditative to you. It's going to be different for everyone, but that's pretty much the energy of the week, my loves. There's a lot going on because we're in eclipse season, and we're at this changing of, you know, a lot of outer planet stuff like I spoke to. We've got planets changing signs, we've got planets at the ends of their degrees, all retrograde, all going through this huge subconscious shifting, this huge glow up. And so when we have these eclipses, we're starting to face the reality of that. So it's just, you know, another big week, another big energy. So I love you guys so much. I really, really do appreciate you if you have tuned in till the end. I love you. Please make sure you do give this video a like if you did resonate with it, because that really helps this channel. Make sure that you check out the channeled songs for the week as well. If you would like to book a personal or a private tarot or astrology reading with me, you can do that down below through my link tree, my loves. Or if you would like to donate to the channel as well, there is a donation link down there if you want to donate to your bae. I'd like to thank your angels, your ancestors, your higher self, your spirit guides, all the beautiful benevolent beings that are surrounding you and I in all moments, for allowing me to receive and to deliver this message for you guys. I hope that you have the most incredible week ahead. Stay tuned for the solar eclipse reading. Make sure you check out the Pisces lunar eclipse reading that we had as well, because that's going to be relevant for the next 6 months as well. And make sure you just check into the daily horoscopes that will be up every single day, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We have the daily horoscope for the next day going up. So my loves, do let me know as well in the comments if you have any feedback, any suggestions, anything that you would like to share. I love you so much, and I will see you in the daily horoscopes. Peace out.